Chosen one, this morning at 6:47 a.m., while you were pouring your coffee, tying your shoes, or staring out that kitchen window, wondering if anybody sees you anymore. Heaven did something it doesn't do every day. It hit record, not on the pastors, not on the famous, not on the ones with perfect lives and Instagram followers, on you, the one who thinks they're invisible, the one who's been carrying shame like a second skin, the one who whispered, "I'm sorry to God again last night for the same old failure." Listen to me carefully. Something happened in the throne room that shook the angels. Your name suddenly lit up on heaven's monitor like a emergency flare in the dark. And God did something a father does when he catches his child doing something brave nobody else will ever see. He leaned forward, he smiled, and he said to the recorder angels, "Did you see that? Did you see what they just did? You have no idea what you did that moved heaven this morning. You think it was small, you think it was nothing, but in the mathematics of eternity, that tiny choice you made, that moment you decided to get up instead of stay down, to pray instead of curse, to forgive instead of harbor, it registered as an earthquake in the spiritual realm. Here's what breaks my heart. You've spent 70, 80, 90 years thinking God was disappointed in you. That he's been keeping score of your failures. That maybe you've worn out your welcome in his presence. But this morning, God told the angels to document what you did. Not to shame you, to honor you. I wasn't even supposed to release this message today. But God pushed it through my spirit at 4 a.m. and wouldn't let me sleep until I obeyed. Because somewhere in America right now, there's someone who needs to know. Heaven is not ignoring you. Heaven is applauding you. God is not just pleased, he is shockingly proud of you. And there's evidence, time-stamped, documented, recorded in heaven's archives with your name on it. If something in your chest just stirred, if tears are already forming, don't you dare click away. Stay with me. Drop "I'm here" in the comments right now, because what I'm about to show you next will change how you see every mistake, every scar, every moment you thought God forgot about you. Your name just moved in heaven's ledger, and it's time you knew why. You know what nobody tells you in Sunday school? They teach you that God sees everything. They teach you about the book of life. They show you Revelation 20:12, where it talks about books being opened and the dead being judged according to what they had done. And you nod your head, you believe it, you accept it as doctrine. But dear one, what if I told you that's only the first floor of a skyscraper? What if the way heaven actually records your life is far more intricate, far more personal, and far more shocking than anything you were taught in that little church on Sunday morning? Let me show you something that's going to change how you see every choice you make from this moment forward. There are 3 levels to heaven's recording system, and most believers, good, faithful, church-going believers, they live their entire lives stuck on level 1, never knowing there's a second floor, never dreaming there's a penthouse suite with their name on the door. Level 1 is what you already know. Basic observation. Psalm 139 tells us, "You know when I sit and when I rise. You perceive my thoughts from afar." God sees everything. And the ported. Every deed, every word, every secret thought at 3 a.m. when you can't sleep. This is surveillance. This is the security camera that never blinks. Most Christians stop here. They live knowing God is watching, and they try, Lord knows, they try to be good enough under that gaze. But then there's level 2, and this is where it gets personal. Malachi 3:16 says something that should make you sit up straight. "Then those who feared the Lord talked with one another, and the Lord listened and heard." A scroll of remembrance was written in his presence concerning those who feared the Lord and honored his name. Did you catch that? a scroll of remembrance. Not just observation documentation, not just seeing recording with purpose. God doesn't just watch certain moments. He logs them, He archives them. He writes them down in a book that will be pulled out later as evidence in the cosmic courtroom. Think about that for a second. There's a file in heaven with your name on it. And every time you chose faith over fear, every time you forgave when bitterness would have been easier, every time you got on your knees when your body screamed to stay in bed, heaven pulled out your file and made an entry. Date, time, action, witness. Some files in heaven are thin, dusty, rarely opened. The person lived, they believed. They made it to salvation, but they never pushed past comfortable Christianity. Their file documents their conversion and not much else. But other files? Other files are thick, active, glowing with recent entries. These are the believers who kept choosing God when it cost them something, who kept showing up when nobody was watching, who kept believing when the bank account said, "Give up." Your file, chosen one, is one of the thick ones. But here's where most preachers stop. Here's where most teaching ends. They tell you about level 1 and level 2, and they think they've given you the whole picture. But there's a level 3 that changes everything. Level 3 is what I call the high alert recording. This is rare. This is reserved. This is when heaven doesn't just log your action in a file for later review. Heaven calls an emergency session right then and there. Angels stop what they're doing. The recorder angels lean forward. God Himself marks it with special notation. Pay attention to this one. This moment matters. What triggers a level 3 recording? It's not your Sunday attendance. It's not your tithe check, though that matters. It's not even your prayer life, as important as that is. Level 3 recordings happen when you make a radical choice of obedience that nobody else will ever see. When you do the right thing at the exact moment when doing the wrong thing would have been easier, more profitable, more satisfying to your flesh. When you choose God's way in a moment when you're absolutely certain no one is watching, no one will know, no one will ever find out. That moment this morning, when you made that choice that's been burning in your conscience, when you decided to do the thing God whispered, even though it made no logical sense, when you forgave that person who doesn't deserve it, gave that money you couldn't afford, spoke that truth that might cost you everything, heaven didn't just watch you today. Heaven logged you today. Level 3. High alert. Your file just moved from pending review to active approval. And here's what you need to understand. What happened in the throne room this morning wasn't routine processing. It was a father seeing his child finally step into the kind of faith that moves mountains, the kind of obedience that shifts atmospheres, the kind of sacrifice that only makes sense in the mathematics of eternity. Think back right now. What did you do, pray, or decide this morning that cost you something? What choice did you make when you thought nobody was watching? Because I'm about to show you what happens when your name triggers a level 3 recording in heaven's archive, and why God is shockingly proud of what you did. Let me take you somewhere nobody else sees, a place the cameras never reach, a room heaven watches but the world ignores. It's 3:47 inches the morning. The house is silent except for the hum of that old refrigerator downstairs. You're lying there in the dark, and your body is screaming. Your knees ache. Your back feels like someone's been using it for target practice. The arthritis in your hands makes even turning over feel like climbing a mountain. But it's not just your body that hurts, is it? On the nightstand, there's a stack of bills you can't quite cover this month. In the drawer, there's a doctor's report with words you didn't want to hear. On your phone, there are messages from your daughter that stopped coming 3 weeks ago for reasons you still don't understand. And in your heart, there's a weight that has no name but feels like it's been there since 1987. You're 73 years old. You've buried a spouse. You've raised children who now live in different time zones with different priorities. You've served in churches that forgot your name the moment you stopped volunteering. You've given your best years to people who never said thank you. And this morning, right there in that dark room with nobody watching, you had a choice. You could have chosen bitterness. God knows you've earned the right. You could have scrolled through your phone, looking for some distraction to numb the ache. You could have rehearsed that conversation with your son one more time, sharpening your words like knives you'll never throw. You could have called that person back, the one who drains your peace every single time. You could have stayed in bed and let the darkness win, but you didn't. Instead, something happened that the world will never put on the evening news. Something so quiet that even you almost missed it. You whispered a prayer, not a pretty one, not an eloquent one. Maybe it was just Jesus, help me. Maybe it was God, I can't do this anymore, but I'm still here. Maybe you forgave that family member again, the one who doesn't even know they need forgiving. Maybe you chose not to send that angry text. Maybe you blessed someone in your heart who never once thanked you. The world didn't see it. Your children didn't notice. There was no applause, no recognition, no certificate of achievement for choosing grace when you had every right to choose rage. But heaven saw it. Hebrews 4:13 says, "Nothing in all creation is hidden from God's sight. Everything is uncovered and laid bare before the eyes of Him to whom we must give account." Every secret choice, every hidden battle, every moment you stood watch in your own heart when everyone else had gone home. You thought it was just another morning of survival, just another day of getting through, just another round in a fight nobody knows you're fighting. But heaven didn't classify it as survival. Heaven classified it as evidence. Evidence that after 70, 80, 90 years on this broken planet, you're still choosing light over darkness. You're still picking faith over fear. You're still forgiving when the wound is fresh. You're still praying when the answers seem late. You're still standing when everyone said you'd fall. Do you understand what that means in the courts of heaven? Do you grasp what happens in the spiritual realm when someone who has every excuse to quit decides to keep going? When someone who's been disappointed by life still chooses to trust God? The psalmist knew this battlefield. Psalm 42:3 records his cry, "My tears have been my food, day and night, while people say to me all day long, 'Where is your God?'" He knew what it meant to suffer in secret, to fight battles in the dark, to keep faith when everything visible said God wasn't paying attention. But here's what David discovered, and here's what you're about to understand. God doesn't just watch those hidden battles, He records them. You see, the world celebrates the loud victories, the healed marriages, the financial breakthroughs, the prodigal children who come home. But heaven celebrates something deeper. Heaven celebrates the widow who still sets her alarm to pray at 5 a.m., even though her knees scream, the grandfather who still blesses the family who forgot his birthday, the woman who still has hope after the third diagnosis, the man who still believes after the fourth betrayal. That's not just faith, beloved. That's warfare. You're fighting on a battlefield where nobody hears the gunfire, but heaven sees every wound. You're a soldier still choosing to stand watch when everyone else went home decades ago. And this morning at 6:47 a.m., when you made that choice nobody saw, something shifted in the heavenly realm. I'll tell you exactly what changed in your file in just a moment. I'll show you what moved when you made that hidden decision. But first, you need to understand this. The world didn't clap. Your family didn't notice. Your pastor doesn't know. Your friends can't see it. But heaven stood still and hit record. And God leaned forward and said something that's about to change how you see every hidden moment you've ever lived through. Something that will rewrite your understanding of what truly matters. Something that will make every secret tear, every quiet prayer, Every invisible choice suddenly makes sense. What did he say? And why did your name just move to a place it's never been before? You know what nobody tells you about getting old? It's not the arthritis. It's not the prescriptions lined up on your counter like little soldiers. It's not even burying the people you thought would outlive you. It's this: the weight of still believing when nobody's watching anymore. Let me ask you something that might cut deep. How many funerals have you attended where you were the one comforting everyone else? How many times have you been the strong one, the faithful one, the one who has it all together, while your own heart was shattering into 1,000 pieces? You've buried your spouse. You've buried friends who promised they'd grow old with you. You've stood at gravesides and whispered prayers over people who were supposed to be there when you needed them. And yet this morning, when your feet hit that cold floor, you still got up. You still prayed. You still chose God. Do you understand what that cost you? The world sees an old person going through the motions, but heaven sees a warrior still swinging their sword when everyone else has gone home. There's a difference between obeying God when you're 25 with your whole life ahead of you and obeying Him at 75 when half your prayers still seem unanswered. At 25, you had energy, you had hope, you had that fire in your bones that made you believe anything was possible. But now you're running on fumes and faith. Now you're choosing God with tired hands and a cracked heart. Now you're saying yes to Him when your body screams no more and your mind whispers, "What's the point?" That's why heaven hit record this morning. You see, beloved, God doesn't weigh your obedience just by the action. He weighs it by the cost. And obedience after disappointment costs more than obedience at the beginning. Obedience after betrayal costs more than obedience in celebration. Obedience when you're exhausted costs more than obedience when you're energized. Think about the athlete in the fourth quarter. The game's been brutal. They've been knocked down, pushed back, beaten up. Their muscles are screaming. Their lungs are burning. Every fiber of their being wants to sit on that bench. But they don't. They keep running. They keep fighting. And that fourth quarter effort, that's worth more than all the first quarter glory combined. You're in your fourth quarter, chosen one, and you're still running. Let me tell you what happened in your life that heaven values more than you'll ever know. You've served people who never said thank you. You've given when you had nothing left to give. You've prayed for children who stopped calling. You've tithed from social security checks that barely covered your rent. You've worshipped through pain that would make younger people quit. Job understood this. The Bible says in Job 2:10, "Shall we accept good from God and not trouble?" But here's what most preachers won't tell you. Job said that after he lost everything, after his children died, after his wealth vanished, after his own wife told him to curse God and die, that wasn't fresh faith talking. That was faith that had been through hell and still chose heaven. That's your faith, isn't it? You've watched prayers go unanswered for years. That prodigal child you've been praying for since 1987, still gone. That financial breakthrough you've been believing for, still delayed. That healing you've been asking for, still waiting. And yet this morning, you still bowed your head. You still whispered His name. You still said, "Your will be done." There are days you wonder if your faithfulness even matters anymore. Days when you look at your life and see more closed doors than open ones, more losses than wins, more silence than answered prayers. But let me tell you what God sees. He sees gold being refined in fire. And here's the mystery. The longer gold stays in the flame, the purer it becomes. Your years aren't diminishing your value. They're purifying it. Every disappointment is burning away the dross. Every delay is removing the impurities. Every unanswered prayer is making your faith stronger than anything this world has ever seen. There's a reason God is more moved by the yes you just gave Him now than by the loud yes you gave Him at 25. because that yes at 25 cost you nothing but enthusiasm. But this yes at your age, with your history, with your scars, this yes cost you everything. You didn't just survive this morning, beloved. You stunned heaven. Right where you are, I want you to do something. Don't think about it, just respond. Whisper these words: Lord, I still say yes. And if you can, put that in the comments. Let heaven see it in writing. Let the angels record your declaration, because when you speak it, something shifts in the spiritual realm. You gave God one of the rarest offerings a human can give: obedience after heartbreak, faithfulness after failure, trust after trauma. That's not ordinary Christianity. That's the kind of faith that makes demons tremble and angels weep. But here's what I need you to understand as we go deeper. That choice you made this morning, it didn't just register in heaven, it triggered something. And what heaven is about to release because of your invisible obedience will leave you speechless. You want to know what really happened this morning while you were brushing your teeth? While you were taking your pills? While you were wondering if today would be just another day of feeling forgotten? Let me take you somewhere most preachers won't talk about. Let me show you what's happening right now in a room you can't see but desperately need to know exists. There's a file room in heaven. And beloved, your name is on one of those files. I'm not talking metaphorically. I'm not being poetic. Scripture is crystal clear about this. Malachi 3:16 says, "A scroll of remembrance was written in his presence concerning those who feared the Lord and honored his name." A scroll, written, documented. Your life isn't just happening and disappearing into thin air like smoke. It's being recorded, archived, remembered. But here's what's going to shake you to your core. Your file isn't just sitting there collecting dust. It's thick, chosen one, thicker than you think. Pages and pages of faithfulness nobody saw. Tears you cried at 3 a.m. when your spouse was sleeping and you didn't want to wake them with your sobbing. Prayers you whispered over grandchildren who don't call anymore. Moments you chose kindness when bitterness would have been easier. Every single act of hidden obedience, documented. But it's not just the victories in there. Oh no. Your mistakes are there too. The divorce, the bankruptcy, that thing you did in 1987 that still makes you wince, the words you can't take back, the choices that haunt you. And right next to every failure, stamped in red, covered by blood, mercy applied, case dismissed. That's your file, dear one. Pain and grace, failure and forgiveness, humanity and divinity colliding on every page. But this morning something changed. A new entry got added to your file. And the moment it hit the page, something unprecedented happened. Angels stopped mid-flight. The atmosphere in heaven shifted, because this wasn't just another notation. This entry came with a flag, highlighted, marked with words that make hell tremble. High priority, review now. You still don't know what you did, do you? You think this morning was ordinary. Coffee, news. Maybe you fed the cat. Maybe you took your walk. Nothing special. But somewhere between your first thought and your first prayer, you made a choice that registered in the eternal realm like thunder. Maybe you forgave when everything in you wanted to hold that grudge. Maybe you got out of bed when depression said stay down. Maybe you chose to believe God one more day when doubt was screaming in your ear. Heaven saw it, and heaven moved. Think about Noah. Genesis 8:1 says, "But God remembered Noah." That word remembered doesn't mean God forgot and then recalled. In Hebrew, it means God acted on what he'd been watching. Noah had been faithful for decades building that ark, while the whole world mocked him. And then, in one moment, God said enough waiting and remembered him. The floods came, The vindication arrived. Everything shifted because heaven remembered. Think about Hannah. 1 Samuel 1:19 records it simply, "The Lord remembered her." She'd been barren, broken, praying year after year after year, and then God remembered. Not because he'd forgotten, but because the appointed time had come, and she birthed Samuel, the prophet who would anoint kings. What happens when God remembers you? What happens when your file gets moved to the front of the line? I'll tell you what happens. A red stamp hits the top of your file, not pending, not under review. The stamp says, "Approved for next phase." Angels are carrying your file right now, right this second, past all the bureaucracy of the seen and unseen, straight to the Father's desk. And the accuser, that ancient serpent who's been whispering that you're disqualified, that you've failed too many times, that God's tired of your mess. He's being shown your file, and your obedience from this morning is being quoted back to him like legal precedent in a courtroom. Look at what they did, the Father says. Look at what they chose when they could have chosen defeat. You said they'd quit. You said they'd give up. You said 70 years was long enough to break them. But look, they're still choosing me. That's happening right now, beloved. Your file didn't stay where it was. It was promoted. But here's what most people don't understand about heaven's file system, and this is going to explain years of your life, decades of delays, closed doors, prayers that seem to bounce off the ceiling. When your file gets moved, it doesn't just affect your future, it unlocks your past. Every tear you thought was wasted, it just became evidence of your endurance. Every prayer you thought went unheard, it just became proof of your persistence. Every year you spent feeling invisible, it just became your credentials for what's coming next. Your file is moving, and when heaven moves a file, earth has no choice but to respond. If you've ever felt like your prayers were lost in heaven's system, like your name got buried under a million others, like maybe God was too busy with younger believers, more important people, better Christians, stay with me, because what I'm about to show you next will shatter that lie forever. What happens when your obedience becomes evidence in the courtroom of eternity? Right now, this very second, there's a trial happening in the spiritual realm, and you're not just involved in it, you're the center of it. Picture this with me. A courtroom in the heavenlies, not like anything you've seen on Law and Order, but something far more ancient, far more real. The lighting is different there. It's not fluorescent. It's the kind of light that exposes everything, every hidden thought, every secret shame, every moment you wish you could take back. And standing at the prosecutor's table is the accuser. The one Revelation 12:10 calls the accuser of our brethren, who accused them before our God day and night. Day and night, beloved. He doesn't rest. He doesn't take weekends off. He's been building a case against you for decades. Listen to what he's saying right now. Can you hear it? Your Honor, this one right here, the one they call chosen, let me tell you what they really are. Look at their file. June 1987. Remember what they did. March 2003. Remember what they said? Last Tuesday at 2:15 p.m. Remember what they thought when nobody was watching? He's got exhibits. He's got witnesses. He's got a mountain of evidence stacked so high it would take 3 lifetimes to read through it all. Bank statements showing where your treasure really was. Medical records revealing what worry did to your body. Divorce papers, police reports, tax returns. Every receipt for every bottle you bought to numb the pain. Every text message you wish you could unsend. And here's what guts me, he's not even lying. That's the horrifying part. Every accusation is technically true. You did do those things. You did say those words. You did fail in those moments. The gavel is raised. The judge, the righteous, holy, cannot look upon sin judge, is about to bring it down. And by every standard of cosmic justice, you should lose this case. You know it. The enemy knows it. Even the angels holding their breath in the gallery know it. But then something happens that changes everything. Jesus, your advocate, your defense attorney, the one 1 John 2:1 calls Jesus Christ the righteous. He stands up, and when he stands, the entire atmosphere shifts. He doesn't argue that you're innocent. He doesn't claim the evidence is fabricated. Instead, he does something the accuser never saw coming. He presents new evidence. Your Honor, Jesus says, his voice carrying the weight of Calvary itself, I'd like to submit Exhibit A, fresh footage, recorded this morning at 6:47 a.m. And suddenly, on the celestial monitors, there you are, not you at your worst, you at this morning, that moment when you could have stayed in bed, but you got up. That moment when you could have screamed at your ungrateful children, but you chose grace instead. That moment when you could have given up on that marriage, but you whispered one more prayer. The thing you thought was too small to matter. The obedience you thought nobody noticed. The quiet yes you gave to God when everything in you wanted to say no. Your Honor, Jesus continues, and now his voice is rising with something that sounds like holy pride. The prosecution wants to define this one by their worst day. But I'm presenting evidence from their best invisible day. And according to the law of grace, this single act of obedience carries more weight than that entire mountain of accusation. Do you understand what just happened? That choice you made this morning when nobody was looking, it didn't just please God. It became legal testimony. It became evidence that contradicts every lie the enemy has been whispering about you for 70 years. The accuser is scrambling now. He's flipping through his files, looking for something to counter this. But he can't, because grace doesn't play by the rules of condemnation. 2 Corinthians 5:17 declares, If anyone is in Christ, he is a new creation. Old things have passed away. Behold, all things have become new. New. Not reformed, not patched up, not barely acquitted. New. The gavel is still raised. But now the judge, your Father, is looking at the evidence differently. He's not seeing you through the lens of your failure anymore. He's seeing you through the lens of this morning's faithfulness. And beloved, I need you to hear this until it breaks through every wall of shame you've built. You are not the sum of your worst day. Heaven is now quoting your best invisible day against your worst visible one. That act of obedience you thought wouldn't matter. It's now the loudest piece of evidence in the courtroom. It's drowning out decades of accusation with a single truth. This child still chooses me. Even when it's hard, even when nobody's watching, even when there's no applause. If the enemy has been accusing you in your mind, if you've been hearing that voice telling you you're too damaged, too old, too far gone, I need you to do something right now. Say it out loud where you are. Heaven has new evidence. Write it in the comments if you're able. Because when you declare it, something shifts in the spiritual realm. God is shockingly proud because you just sabotaged the enemy's entire case using nothing but a quiet yes. You turned the trial in your favor with an act so small the world would have missed it. But heaven didn't miss it. Heaven recorded it. And now it's being used as Exhibit A in your defense. The gavel is about to fall, but it's not falling against you anymore. It's falling in your favor, and the verdict that's coming will shock you as much as it shocks the enemy. But before we get to that verdict, you need to understand something that will change how you see every choice you make from this moment forward. Because this isn't just about one morning. This is about what heaven does with a lifetime of hidden obedience that the world never applauded. You know what nobody tells you about getting older? It's not the aches in your knees or the way your hands don't work like they used to. It's the weight of all those unanswered prayers sitting in your chest like stones. 40 years you've been praying for that prodigal son. 35 years you've been asking God to heal that marriage wound. 20 years you've been waiting for financial breakthrough that makes sense of all the faithful tithing. And every single morning you wake up and check the mailbox of your heart, hoping for an answer from heaven. But all you see is the same word stamped across your file: pending, pending review, pending approval, pending indefinitely. Let me ask you something that's going to cut deep. How many times have you wondered if God just forgot to hit send on your miracle? How many nights have you laid there in the dark, whispering, "Lord, did you even hear me? Or am I praying to a ceiling that doesn't care?" I know that feeling. That soul-crushing moment when you start to believe that pending is just God's polite way of saying no. But what if I told you that heaven doesn't operate like the DMV? What if I told you that pending in God's system isn't punishment, it's preparation? Listen to me carefully. There's a story in the book of Daniel that will shatter everything you thought you knew about delayed answers. Daniel prayed, and for 21 days, 3 full weeks, heaven was silent. No answer, no sign, nothing. Just crushing, suffocating silence. But then an angel showed up and said something that should make your spirit leap right now. Daniel 10:12. Do not be afraid, Daniel. Since the first day that you set your mind to gain understanding and to humble yourself before your God, your words were heard, and I have come in response to them. Did you catch that? The first day. God heard him on day 1, but the answer didn't arrive until day 21. Why? Because there was warfare happening in the invisible realm. There were forces fighting to block what God had already approved. Your prayers weren't ignored, beloved. They were intercepted. But here's what happened this morning at 6:47 a.m. When you made that choice nobody saw. When you forgave, when you had every right to hold the grudge. When you got on your knees, even though your body screamed in pain. When you chose obedience over comfort, faith over logic, surrender over control, you completed an equation heaven had been working on for decades. Sometimes it's not that God didn't hear you, it's that he was waiting for a particular yes from you to complete the story. One specific act of radical obedience that would tip the scales from pending to approved. And this morning, you said that yes. I'm not talking about name it, claim it nonsense. I'm not promising you a check in the mail or a new car in the driveway. But I am telling you this: your name just moved in heaven's system, from under review to authorized for next steps. Think about it like this. You know when you're sitting at a red light that seems to last forever? You're watching the cross traffic, checking your mirrors, wondering if the light's broken. And then finally it shifts. Yellow, then green. And suddenly, what was stuck is now released. That's what happened in the spiritual realm this morning. After years of red lights and roadblocks and detours that made no sense, something shifted. The authorization came through. Not for everything all at once. God doesn't work that way. But for specific areas that have been locked up for too long. 3 areas, to be exact. And in just a moment, I'm going to tell you exactly what they are and how to recognize when heaven's green light is flashing in your life. But first, you need to understand something that will change how you see every delay you've ever endured. Habakkuk 2-3 says, "For the revelation awaits an appointed time. It speaks of the end and will not prove false. Though it linger, wait for it. It will certainly come and will not delay." Read that last part again. It will not delay. Not it might not delay. Not hopefully, it won't delay. It will not delay. Because in God's mathematics, timing isn't about our calendars, it's about His kingdom purposes. Your delay wasn't denial, it was divine strategy. And this morning, when you did what you did, that tiny invisible act of obedience that you think doesn't matter, you triggered something in the heavenlies. You activated an authorization code that's been waiting for your signature. I'm telling you right now, if you felt stuck in pending for years, decades, even something is about to shift. Not because you earned it, not because you finally got spiritual enough, but because your obedience this morning completed a circuit that heaven had been building for longer than you know. If you can feel this truth landing in your spirit, if something inside you just whispered, "This is real, I need you to do something," whisper back to God right now, "Lord, I receive your timing." Don't analyze it. Don't doubt it. Just receive it. And in the comments, just type 2 words, "I receive." Because, beloved, this morning didn't just please God, it authorized something. And what got approved in heaven's courts today is about to manifest in ways that will leave you breathless. But you need to know what to watch for. You need to recognize the signs when heaven's favor starts moving in your direction. And that's exactly what I'm about to show you next. The 3 specific areas that shift after a day like today, and how to position yourself to receive what God has already stamped approved with your name on it. You know what nobody tells you about moments when heaven records your life? They don't just stay locked in some celestial filing cabinet gathering dust. No, beloved. What gets documented in eternity has a strange way of bleeding back into your tomorrow. Let me ask you something that might sting a little. How many mornings have you woken up with that familiar weight already pressing on your chest before your feet even hit the floor? That voice that starts whispering the moment your eyes open. Another day of this, another day of being invisible, another day wondering if anything you do actually matters. I'm talking to the grandmother in Queens who's been carrying anxiety like a winter coat she can't take off even in July. The grandfather in Brooklyn whose mind runs the same worry loop at 3 a.m. every single night. The widow in the Bronx who's forgotten what peace even feels like because the noise in her head never stops. But here's what's about to shake you. When heaven hits record on your life, when God marks a moment as significant, something shifts in the atmosphere around you. Not always loud, not always obvious, but real, documented, measurable. The Bible shows us this pattern over and over. Look at Jacob in Genesis 32. He wrestled with God all night, and when the sun came up, he walked away with a limp and a new name. The wrestling was documented. The change was permanent. He wasn't Jacob the deceiver anymore. He was Israel, one who prevails with God. One night, one divine encounter. So let me tell you what usually changes after a day like this. Pay attention, because one of these 3 shifts is already moving in your direction right now. First, there's the inner atmosphere shift. This is when the noise finally gets quiet. You know that voice that's been accusing you for 40 years, the one that replays every failure, every mistake, every reason you're not enough? Suddenly, it loses volume. Not because you got smarter or stronger, but because heaven's recording of your obedience this morning is drowning out hell's recording of your past. I've watched this happen to people your age, and it's remarkable. The anxiety that used to choke you every morning, it's still there, but it's not in the driver's seat anymore. There's a new peace settling over you, like fresh snow covering old streets. Isaiah 26:3 says it plainly. Thou wilt keep him in perfect peace, whose mind is stayed on thee. That's not just poetry, that's a promise connected to a posture. And this morning, when you made that choice heaven recorded, you shifted your posture. Now watch how your peace shifts, but maybe that's not your shift. Maybe yours is the relational shift. This is when God starts rearranging the people around you. Sometimes it's a reconnection. That daughter who hasn't called in 3 years suddenly texts you out of nowhere. That friend who walked away during your hardest season reaches out with an apology you stopped expecting. But here's what's harder to receive. Sometimes the relational shift is God closing doors to protect you. And for the first time in your life, it doesn't feel like rejection. It feels like relief. Like the Father finally saying, "You don't have to keep forcing that relationship. I'm releasing you." Look at Ruth. She lost her husband, her security, everything familiar. But when she made one faithful choice to follow Naomi back to Bethlehem, God orchestrated a relational shift that put her in the lineage of Jesus Christ. Ruth 2:12 records Boaz blessing her. "The Lord repay your work, and a full reward be given you by the Lord God of Israel, under whose wings you have come for refuge." One faithful choice. Heaven documented it. Then heaven rearranged her relationships to match her obedience. And then there's the third shift, and this one terrifies people your age the most. The assignment shift. This is when God whispers, "You're not done yet." When fresh clarity drops into your spirit about how to spend whatever years I've got left. When you suddenly know, not hope, not wish, but know that there's still work reserved specifically for your hands, your voice, your prayers. Moses was 80 when the assignment came. Anna was 84 when she prophesied over baby Jesus in Luke 2:36. God doesn't retire his warriors, he repositions them. He doesn't put you on the shelf. He puts you in the place where your scars become someone else's healing. Here's what I need you to understand. The recording heaven made this morning isn't just a memory, it's a seed. Seeds don't just sit there looking pretty. Seeds break open in the dark, push through dirt, and become something the eye couldn't see when it was first planted. What God documented about you at 6:47 a.m. is already germinating. One of these three shifts is coming, maybe all three, but you've got to stay watchful. You've got to stay hopeful. You've got to stop dismissing the small changes as coincidence when they're actually confirmation. So here's what I want you to do right now. Don't just listen and forget. Write it down. Which one of these three are you asking God for? Inner peace, relational shift, assignment clarity? Put that word in the comments. Let heaven see you stake your claim. Because, beloved, something is already moving. The question isn't whether change is coming. The question is, will you recognize it when it arrives, or will you explain it away like you've explained away every other miracle God's tried to give you? Your shift started this morning, but what happens next depends entirely on whether you're willing to believe that heaven's recording of your faithfulness is more powerful than earth's recording of your failure. I can feel it. Right now, some of you are sitting there with tears streaming down your face, and there's a voice whispering in the back of your mind. It's saying, "Sure, maybe I did something right this morning. Maybe God noticed that one moment. But what about everything else? What about the 30 years I wasted? What about the divorce that destroyed my family? What about my son who won't speak to me? What about my daughter who walked away from God and it's my fault because I didn't pray enough, didn't love enough, didn't be enough?" Stop. Just stop right there. Listen to me, beloved. I need you to hear this with every fiber of your being. That voice trying to steal this moment from you, that's not conviction. That's condemnation. And condemnation doesn't come from the throne room. It comes from the accuser who knows exactly what heaven just recorded about you, and he is terrified of what happens when you finally believe you're worthy of God's pride. Let me tell you something about your past that nobody's had the courage to say to your face. Your failed marriage, God was there. Your prodigal children, he's still fighting for them. Those years you spent in spiritual coldness, going through the motions, feeling nothing, he never left. Not for 1 second. Romans 8:1 says it plain. There is therefore now no condemnation for those who are in Christ Jesus. Now. Not yesterday. Not 20 years ago. Now. This morning at 6:47 a.m. When you made that choice, whatever it was, you weren't operating out of your past. You were operating out of your present grace. And that's what shook heaven. You want to know why God is shockingly proud of you? Because He knows your whole story. He knows every chapter you wish you could rip out and burn. He knows every page stained with tears and regret. And yet, when He saw what you did this morning, He didn't see it in isolation. He saw it as the culmination of every lesson learned in the fire, every scar earned in the battle, every year you spent thinking you were disqualified when you were actually being qualified. Think about Peter. This man denied Jesus 3 times. 3 times. While Jesus was being beaten, while Jesus was facing crucifixion, Peter looked people in the eye and said, "I don't know him." Can you imagine carrying that? Can you imagine the shame that followed him for the rest of his life? But here's what breaks me open every time I read it. In John 21, after the resurrection, Jesus doesn't bring up the denial to shame Peter. He asks him 3 times, "Do you love me?" And each time Peter says yes, Jesus says, "Feed my sheep." Jesus gave him 3 opportunities to rewrite his story, 3 chances to replace 3 denials with 3 declarations. Your past doesn't get the final word, chosen one. God does. You've been living like your worst chapter defines your entire book. But I'm here to tell you God writes like Hemingway, not like some amateur novelist. The ending gives new meaning to everything that came before it. That tragedy in chapter 7? It set up the triumph in chapter 70. That failure at 45? It taught you the humility you needed for the assignment at 75. Here's what the enemy doesn't want you to understand. The older you are, the more weight a new yes carries. When a 20-year-old says yes to God, that's beautiful. But when an 80-year-old says yes after burying a spouse, after watching dreams die, after decades of disappointment, that yes carries the authority of tested faith, that yes shakes principalities, that yes makes demons tremble. Your obedience this morning wasn't just obedience, it was a declaration. It was you saying, "I don't care what my past looks like, I don't care what people think, I don't care if I've got 5 years left or 50. I'm saying yes to God today." And heaven recorded it. Think about it like this. Imagine you're sitting in a courtroom and the prosecutor is reading off every mistake you've ever made. Every lie, every betrayal, every moment of weakness. The evidence is stacked against you. The testimony is damning. And just when you think the verdict is sealed, your lawyer stands up. But it's not just any lawyer. It's Jesus. And He doesn't argue the facts. He doesn't say you didn't do those things. Instead, He holds up one piece of evidence, one choice, one moment. This morning at 6:47 a.m., and He says to the Father, "See this? This is who they really are. This is their heart. Judge them by this." And the gavel comes down. Not guilty. That's what happened this morning, beloved. Your recent obedience didn't erase your past, it redefined your identity. God didn't forget what you did wrong. He just chose to remember what you did right. Remember that timestamp I told you about? 6:47 a.m. That moment is now part of the official story heaven tells about you. Not the divorce, not the estrangement, not the years you wasted. This choice, this morning. This version of you who got up and decided that today grace was going to win. Your story is not over. And the chapter heaven just recorded. It's going to make every reader forget the messy middle because the ending is so magnificent. If you've been living under the weight of regret, if you've been letting your past convince you that God could never be proud of you, I need you to do something right now. Place your hand over your heart. Feel it beating. That's not just blood pumping. That's proof you're still here. That's evidence your story isn't finished. Say it out loud. Lord, write my ending. And in the comments, I want you to type 4 words, my story is not over. Because, beloved, what you don't know yet, What I'm about to show you in the next few minutes is that this morning's recording isn't just about you, it's about everyone watching you. Everyone who needs to see what God does with broken people who refuse to stay broken. Your ending is about to become someone else's beginning. Chosen one, do you remember where we started? This morning at 6:47 a.m., while you were alone in your kitchen. Heaven hit record. Not on the preachers with platforms, not on the ones with perfect track records. On you, the one who thought nobody was watching when you made that choice to forgive instead of harbor bitterness, to pray instead of complain, to get up instead of give up. That wasn't random, that was divine documentation. And I need you to understand something that's going to shatter every lie you've believed about your life. Every moment you thought God wasn't paying attention, every time you whispered, "Does this even matter?" into the darkness of your bedroom at 3 a.m. Every small act of obedience you performed, when the world had moved on without you, it was all being recorded in heaven's archives with your name stamped on it. The timestamp is there. The unseen choice is documented. The recording has been filed. And in heaven's courtroom, your file just moved from pending to approved. But here's what breaks my heart. Some of you are sitting there right now, 75, 80, 85 years old, thinking, "This can't be about me. My time has passed. I'm just waiting to die." And the enemy has convinced you that because your body is slowing down, your purpose is shutting down. Because your hair is silver, your significance has expired. Because the world has labeled you senior citizen, heaven has filed you under retired from service. That is a lie straight from the pit of hell. Listen to me carefully. You are not forgotten. You are not washed up. You are not background noise in God's story. You are a chosen one whose obedience still moves, heaven, whose prayers still shake the foundations of darkness, whose quiet faithfulness still writes chapters in eternity that will outlive every empire on this earth. Moses was 80 when God called him to deliver a nation. Anna was 84 when she recognized the Messiah. Caleb was 85 when he said, "Give me this mountain." Your age doesn't disqualify you from God's purposes. It amplifies the beauty of your yes. Because when an 80-year-old saint says, "I'll still serve you, Lord," heaven erupts in applause that echoes through eternity. You think you're too late? You're right on heaven's schedule. The world measures time in years. God measures it in appointed moments. And this morning at 6:47 a.m., your appointed moment arrived. Heaven leaned in. The angels took notice. Your Father smiled with shocking pride. But I need to tell you what's going to happen in the next 72 hours. You're going to feel shifts, not earthquakes, whispers. A phone call from someone you haven't heard from in months, apologizing for something they didn't even know wounded you. A check in the mail you weren't expecting, exactly covering the amount you've been silently worrying about. A dream so vivid you wake up with tears on your pillow, knowing God just spoke directly to your situation. A sudden peace about that prodigal child who's been breaking your heart for 15 years. These aren't coincidences. These are confirmations. Heaven is responding to what you did this morning. The ripple effects of your obedience are already moving through the spiritual realm, rearranging circumstances, redirecting destinies, breaking chains you didn't even know you had the authority to touch. But the enemy knows this too, and he's about to send doubt dressed up as logic. It was just a good mood, just a lucky day, just your imagination running wild again. Don't you dare believe him. What you're feeling right now, that stirring in your chest, that warmth in your spirit, that knowing that something is different, that's heaven confirming what I've been telling you. You matter. Your obedience counts. Your quiet faithfulness is shaking kingdoms. Now, I want to pray over you, and I need you to receive this with everything in you. Put your hand on your heart. Feel it beating. That rhythm is proof you still have assignment. That pulse is evidence heaven isn't done with you. Father, I lift up every person hearing my voice right now. You see them in their living rooms, their bedrooms, sitting in cars, lying in hospital beds. Lord, they've carried shame for so long, believing their best days were behind them. But you're saying their finest hour is still ahead. Thank you for seeing what they did this morning. Thank you for recording their yes when the world wasn't watching. Give them peace over their homes that surpasses understanding. Give them clarity about their next steps, even if those steps are small and quiet. Give them courage to keep saying yes in the hidden places, knowing heaven is always watching, always recording, always responding. Help them finish well, Lord. Help them walk like someone whose Father is shockingly proud. In Jesus' name, amen. If you felt God speaking to you through this message, don't leave without marking this moment. Comment, heaven recorded it right now. That's not just engagement, that's your line on earth, matching what heaven has on file. And share this with one person you know who quietly obeys God and feels invisible. They need to know they're seen. Chosen one, walk out of this message like someone whose Father just pulled out the home videos and showed the whole family what you did when nobody was looking. Because whether the world knows it or not, heaven has the moment on record. Your name is documented. Your obedience is filed. And God is shockingly, overwhelmingly, eternally proud of you. The recording is complete. But your story? Your story is just beginning.